The next item is SafeAssign, the anti-plagiarism software that is part of Blackboard. Brett, you want to explain that?
Yes, thank you, Bill. So SafeAssign is really an originality analysis tool. Plagiarism, of course, includes the intent to present someone else's work as your own, as Bill and I discussed earlier as I was preparing this presentation. But SafeAssign is an originality analysis tool that is available only through Blackboard Learning. It's owned by Blackboard, so they made the tool part of their offering through the Blackboard Learn system. It's free to use at this time. There was talk of making it a pay service, but there was a great backlash against that, so they backed off on that. Another neat feature of it is that the originality reports are available to both the instructors and the students. So it's also a learning tool for the students as they go through. They need to be citing these sources and not only presenting other people's work, but also writing their own thoughts and backing it up with sources. So how it's used is an instructor goes into a content area, goes to assessments, and selects SafeAssign. And there you have the basic assignment interface here, where you can put the name, the points possible, due date, instructions, etc. But down here below you have some special options. You've got, you can set it as a draft, which flags it to not be added to the database to compare other papers against. You can urgent check, which I'm not sure how much that actually affects how quickly it gets back to you. It's usually within 15 to 30 minutes of submission you get a report back. And is the report viewable by students? And when the student goes in to actually submit the SafeAssign, they're given this prompt here, letting them know that they are submitting a paper via SafeAssign. And they upload their files along with whatever comments they want to put there. But of course the upload is the most important part there. And then the paper is sent off for analysis on the external server owned by Blackboard, of course. Then 15, 30 minutes, maybe sometimes it's delayed. It goes upwards of 45 minutes to an hour. But then the report is available, as you can see here in this interface. You can of course download the file itself to view the assignment that they submitted, but you can also click for the SafeAssign report here. And here's a report for something that I submitted earlier this week, showing that I have no originality at all in this paper. They didn't even give me credit here for my first short paragraph introducing that I was going to be plagiarizing the next 3 paragraphs, and it was enough match across everything else that they went ahead and gave me a matching of 100%. Now, more than 40% is considered to be problematic for originality in this case. That's just Blackboard standard for that, but of course it's up to the instructor. You do have an option to submit for checking again, excluding some sources, say if the student posted their paper online or it was somehow submitted otherwise under another assignment. This would allow you to exclude those sources and resubmit it without the selected sources. The matching process is pretty complex, but they use 4 different sources for data to match against. They of course use the internet. They have a publication database that they use. They have the institutional document archives, which is UM's students having submitted safe assignments before. It compares against those. And there's the global reference database, which includes all submitted papers from other institutions as well. Now, the usage of this has been actually pretty impressive. Since the start of spring, we've had over 3,000 safe assignments submitted for 187 unique safe assignments across 80 courses. It's been used in English, computer science, business, medical, biology, religious studies, and many others. And now I'm going to do a quick live demonstration. Share the desktop out here. Sorry, I just want to get this so you can see it better. Okay, now here we are in the teacher view. I'm going to minimize this side menu here, and as I said before, you can go here to Assessments, and then click on Safe Assignment. And of course, I have to log in again because it's been a while since I was on this. Just a moment. Okay, clicking on Safe Assignment, giving it a title, and making it worth 10 points. Not going to worry about any of this here. I'm going to go ahead and make this a drafts, but of course that's up to you whenever you want to do that. And you can see there's a new safe assignment here. So I'm going to go to Student View, expand that, and go to my safe assignment demo area. And you can see here I can go ahead and choose a file to submit and go forward with a submission there. I'm going to return to Teacher View and show you a bit more detail on the safe assignment report here. And it says here I can go to the Safe Assignment course tools. You can do this through the gradebook as well, the Grade Center, but I'm going to show you how to use the course tools. And here we can either go to the Safe Assignments to view the Safe Assignments that have already been submitted for this course, or I can direct submit. If I direct submit, I have an option of sending a file myself. And then you can see that I've previously submitted a couple of things here. We have a 75% match, which means that's not original content, of course, and then a 0%, which is a original content item. Going back to the Safe Assign, I'm going to go to my Safe Assignments here. I've done a couple here. I'm going to go to this one. I'm going to view the submissions. You can see there's one, and we've got that 100% match. Now we're going to look at the report here. So here you can see that there's a couple of different sources that they found a good amount of my papers. I may have copied a couple of paragraphs, okay, 3 out of 4 from other works. And I've already resubmitted this excluding some works here. But you can see as I go on this, you can see it highlights for that source. And if I click on another one, it'll highlight from that source there. I'm going to paste this URL in the chat when we go back to it, but this is the explanation of the Safe Assignment report from Blackboard. You have the matching index here. You have a printable version of it. You can direct link to it and save it, send it to someone else for review. And then you have your sources here that's found matching content. And if you click on each particular matching sentence, you can get more information on it there. And going back to here, I'm going to paste that URL for you if anyone's interested in looking at that in more detail. And do we have any questions about SafeAssign? Yes, Katam.
Yes. First, I want to thank you very much for this topic. The SafeAssign always there is an issue with like when you submit, you choose the draft or the urgent checking. First, what do you recommend usually, to use the draft or the urgent checking? And second question I want to ask is, does the student have the opportunity, like when they submit their assignment, does it go automatically submitted to the database And in this case, when the instructor chooses the direct submit, it may check the file against itself, and it will show 100% plagiarism. So I just want to make sure what is the best practices of using this tool.
Well, in the case of the draft, that's if this is a draft of a paper and it's going to be resubmitted again to another safe assignment. Say you're requiring the students to submit a draft of their paper before they submit the final, and you want to have the originality check there. If you have it checked to submit it as a draft, it'll just give you a originality analysis, but it won't submit it to the database to be checked against later. That basically, that's the reason it's called draft, is because there's the option to have it submitted in multiple stages, and you don't want it to come up as a 100% match against itself, because it, or a very high percentage match against itself, because an earlier version of it was submitted. The urgent checking, I'm honestly not sure how much that actually affects it. I'm sure there's some rules they have for prioritization of regular versus urgent checking, but I would think that it would probably be best to just leave it as regular and use urgent checking when it's only truly urgent.
So what I get here, that it's better just to check the draft, or? Well,
it's really a matter of whether this is the final version of the paper that's going to be submitted.
Can we leave it unchecked both and then submit, or?
Yes, you don't have to check either of them. But the draft is, if you know that the student is going to be resubmitting this again to be analyzed again, and if you don't want it to be found to be matching against itself later, and you know that this isn't the final version of the paper.
So that's why I thought, when we do like the draft, that means like, every time they submit it, it will treat the paper as an original paper. But if you don't check the draft, the database will start maybe analyze it against itself. I don't know.
No, the draft is a setting for whether or not it's added to the database afterwards. It's really just a matter of, do you want this to be added to the database so future papers are checked against this one?
Okay.
And I believe it will work with other languages. I'm not sure if they have as extensive a database for other languages, but I would imagine it would, especially for the internet search, it would probably find it just as easily. Bill, did you have a question?
No, but I wanted to respond to Katam and kind of reinforce what I think you just said. When a paper is submitted, it's always checked against all of the things that Brett listed. All of the general internet stuff, the resources that they purchase access to, and previous papers submitted by students. From students from UM, and in some cases students from other schools where they've agreed to put it into the database. So the problem with the draft was, before they put that capability in, if an assignment in Blackboard allows multiple attempts, or you have different versions of a paper that you're trying to submit, there's different assignments, send your first draft, send your second draft, send your final version. The second draft and the final version would come back with these huge numbers because they're matched against your previous paper. And the faculty member at the time couldn't even unselect your previous paper. That was the end of it. Now you could do that and reprocess it, but the decision was made in the design of this thing that if you know that this is a draft, then have the student then create it so that it is not saved in the database. So if you're going to have the students submit a first draft of a paper, knowing that it's a first draft, go ahead, or just a paragraph describing what they're going to be writing about or something like that. You might want to make it a draft because that could end up in their second version or the final version of their paper. Does that make more sense, Katam?
Yeah, so if it's not a draft, we can just leave the uncheck. We don't have to uncheck urgent checking or a draft. Just leave those empty. Is that correct, Phil? Or?
Yes, urgent checking and draft are completely independent. And my experience is that people check urgent checking when they've submitted something and it hasn't been checked fast enough. And in most cases, that's because there's a problem with SafeAssign, and urgent checking isn't going to do any good. So I don't think, it's like everybody. Do you want to get served first when you come to the restaurant? Did you ever want everybody else to get served? We all want to get served first. So I don't know what urgent checking does.
The reason I ask, because I have a scenario one time that where the report come like 100%, and I think the faculty submit again, so it showed like like 100% plagiarism, and this is that's why I'm trying to be sure, like next time when an issue like this happen, how to direct my faculty. So when Brett mentioned that the option for running the report were to direct submission, is that something that the faculty can submit again to the database, and then that's what caused the report to retain 100% plagiarism?
That would do it. If it had already been submitted once by the student, and then I just submitted it again as a direct submit, it would match against the first one. But when I get the report back, it will tell me that it matched against a student's paper, and give me, if it's one of our students, I think it gives me some information, and I can then deselect that and say run it again. In general, you should look at those 100%. Remember, it isn't plagiarism. It just means that it has found something that it's matching on. One of the things that Brett and I talked about was if a student cites everything accurately, in quotes or in indented paragraphs or whatever, not only can the quote be listed as non-original, but the citation can be listed as non-original because other people have cited that source. So the fact that it's not original doesn't mean that it's plagiarized. Well, when we tested this out the first time, one professor said, the University of Miami has an anti-plagiarism policy, so you must get 0% by SafeAssign. Nobody can get 0%, or it's very hard, because something is going to get matched against something else that somebody has done. So beware of that. But if it does come back 100%, one of the things is to contact us and have us look at it so that we can provide some help. And remember, there was a button there for the URL, so you can just send us that URL, and we can see the report that you're looking at and talk with you about it. The other thing, a couple other things that I wanted to mention from having used this for so long. If a student gets 0%, take a look at what happened. Some of our students, at least in the past, had figured out that if they submit a PDF file, it will check it. But they can submit a PDF where they've taken screen images of the page, and images don't get checked. So when you look at the page, it looks like a regular PDF, it looks like their paper, but when you check it, it doesn't work. It gives 0%. So do take a look at it. If it is a PDF, you still should be able to select text and things like that. If you can't, then it's probably that they've tried to do that to you. Not many will do that, and they will end up with a 0%.
Thank you very much. This is very helpful. And if I remember correctly from Blackboard conference, I think I attended one session about the roadmap of the assignment, the safe assignments, and they mentioned something like that they try to work on something like that. I don't know if you know anything about it, like if they're going to improve it again.
I don't know specifics on what they're improving and when. They are constantly improving it. To improve it means that the back end improves. So we don't even do anything on our end. It's
I
just
know,
their matching process, and I haven't heard anything, but I know that they're constantly changing it and trying to make it better.
Thank you very much.
One other thing I wanted to mention was SafeAssign, and you might tell your students this: if the student takes a paper to the Writing Center, and I encourage our students to use the Writing Center. It is a wonderful resource. High stakes or anything. The people will look it over, look at the assignment, look at the paper that they've written, try to help the student in understanding how to reach the goal that the teacher wants. The Writing Center will do direct submits for the student to SafeAssign as a draft, so that, and then sit down with the student and go over the results. So at least if you have first-time college students, whether they're graduate students or undergraduate, and they're at all worried about a SafeAssign, one option is for you to allow them to submit as a draft so that they can see the results before they submit their final paper. They have to know to submit it long enough in advance that the results will come back. And the other option is to send them to the Writing Center and have them work with the Writing Center. And I encourage the second one, have them go to the Writing Center if they'd like to see the results beforehand. But many first-time college students don't understand plagiarism, don't understand original writing. So we created that option for them, that the Writing Center will do that, but not just give them the results, but sit down and talk through them and why this was flagged and how to fix it, or how to improve the paper. Also, if you're having writing assignments, the Writing Center loves to get a copy of the assignment ahead of time. And I encourage you to do that, especially if you're going to send students to the Writing Center, so that the Writing Center can be prepared and understand exactly what you want. And that's the end of mine.
Thank you very much, everyone, for attending, and please join us next week, same time, and we'll be happy to take any topic suggestions you may have. Otherwise, have a good afternoon.
Yeah, thank you all for giving up part of the spring break. We're enjoying these. I hope you are too. Anything I can do, let me know. Anything we can do to in these sessions or otherwise. Blackboard Help Desk is available at 83949, and we'll respond to most any request. Have a great day, great week. Maybe we'll see you tomorrow, or maybe we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye-bye.